Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a briefing from www.central-mosque.com about the 12th month of the Islamic year 1440, which is Dhul-Hijjah. This is also the month in which there is pilgrimage the Muslims do towards Mecca called Hajj. So there's a misconception that I want to clear in the minds of certain Muslims. Basically, in this month, as I just talked about, the pilgrimage or Hajj is done at Mecca, which means that those who are not physically in Mecca or Saudi Arabia, so to speak, for example, people in United Kingdom, in London, people in Washington, in the United States, people, I don't know, in Perth, Australia, for them it is just another month just like any other month. So they would follow the local moon sighting of their locality because they are not in Mecca, they're not doing Hajj, they're not in Saudi Arabia, and so on. Second reason is on the 10th of this month of Dhul Hijjah, the Muslims celebrate Eid, and Eidul-Adha came into Islam in year 1 or 2 of the Prophet's migration, versus Hajj became an obligation in year 9. So for 7 years, these two were completely disconnected. There was no Hajj for 9 years of the first 9 years of the Prophet's migration. So therefore, these two have no connection whatsoever, and there isn't any connection between pilgrimage in Mecca or the day of Arafat in Mecca and the rest of the world. Thirdly, Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, who was a mufti, a qadi of Saudi Arabia, he said, as for those who say that the moon sighting is credible of Makkah, particularly, meaning particularly for the whole world, there is no origin and no evidence for this whatsoever. When we talk about the Saudi moon sighting system, and I wish I wouldn't have to talk about this, but unfortunately I have to. Basically, the Saudi court system or the Saudi scholars only make a public declaration for Ramadan, Shawwal, Dhul Hijjah, possibly for Muharram. For the rest of the months, there is no declaration. So the brothers or sisters or imams or scholars who wish to follow Saudi moon sighting cannot, because there is no 12 monthly moon sighting system. So when you hear the debates on TV or posts on Facebook or YouTube videos, they continuously focus on these 3 months, Ramadan, Shawwal, and Dhul Hijjah, and they completely negate the astronomical science, but they never answer the question, how do you follow the other months? Because there is no moon sighting declaration in Saudi Arabia, for example, for the month of Rajab. So as I've repeatedly said in my videos, the simplest question to ask these people who propose to follow Saudi moon sighting system is, how did you start the month of Rajab? Was it based on moon sighting, or was it based on science and astronomy? If it was based on science and astronomy, because there is no public declaration in Saudi Arabia, then how come the same science is invalid when it comes to us questioning the Saudi moon sighting? And before I forget, if you're in Saudi Arabia, whichever country you are in, you follow the scholars of that country. So if you're in Saudi Arabia, mashallah, your Hajj is valid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to do Hajj and to visit Haramain again and again and again. There's no problem with that, and there's no reason to question Hajj or the declarations for Haramain, because that's not what I'm discussing. I'm discussing the implementation of Saudi moon sighting outside of Saudi Arabia, which the Saudi scholars themselves tell you you should be following local moon sighting. So this month of Dhul Hijjah, the moon is going to be born on the 1st of August 2019 at 4:12 GMT. So there's no so moon sighting with the naked eye is not possible anywhere in Asia or Africa. However, when it comes to the continent of Americas, it is possible in many parts of America to sight this moon on the 1st of August. For example, it could be easily visible in Colombia, it could be visible in Panama, and it is easily visible in Los Angeles. Other areas, it is visible if the conditions are perfect, and so on and so forth. When it comes to Saudi Arabia, basically it is a 12-hour moon in Riyadh, and the same thing, about a 12 hours 50-minute moon in Mecca, and it is extremely difficult to, well nigh impossible to see. Now, when you look at these calculations, they don't tell you the full picture. Let me show you a video of what happens in Saudi Arabia, and there's a reason why a moon of such a low altitude, 5 degrees or 6 degrees, cannot really be seen in Saudi Arabia. There's a physical reason for that. Let me show you this small video. So what happens in Saudi Arabia, and when you go to Haramain, to Mecca and Medina, and again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to visit there again and again and again. And if you see the setting sun, you will, so intuition tells you that in the desert there are clear skies, so you should be able to see everything, but that's not the way it works. What happens is if you see the setting sun, watch the sun sets, and it disappears way before it's actually set. You cannot see it. So if a moon which has extremely low altitude, like 5 degrees or 6 degrees or thereabouts, you cannot see it because watch the sun, it's not even set yet, and you cannot see it. Now it's literally set. So it disappears in the horizon, and this is the reason. If you watch this again, I'm going to back it out. You see that? You see? Because of atmospheric conditions in Saudi Arabia, if you cannot see a giant ball of fire called the sun, how can you possibly see the moon? So this is the reason. Forget about the calculations and where the moon is located and so on. Because of these atmospheric conditions in Saudi Arabia, you cannot see the moon usually if the altitude is quite low. There is no, people have a misconception about telescope. They think you can see the impossible with telescope. No, something has to be there for you to be able to see it with a telescope. If, telescope cannot produce miracles. So remember that. Here's the reason why in Saudi Arabia, atmospheric conditions will not let you see the moon, which is quite low in the horizon. So on the next day, on the 2nd of August, this moon can be easily seen in most parts of the world. So what will happen is, as far as Americas are concerned, there is an ample chance for this moon to be seen in Los Angeles and Panama and Colombia. So there's a possibility that they will start Dhul-Hijjah from the 2nd of August. The rest of the world will start on the 3rd of August. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, the Qura calendar says that they start from the 2nd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, what will happen. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.